Being in your 20s is not for the weak. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Sid, and today I want to get into lessons learned from my 20s. I turned 30 this summer, and I've been reflecting a lot about my 20s, the highs and the lows, the wins and rejections in between. And I've really been thinking that, the 20s are such a transitionary decade in life. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. And I hate that saying anyway, because what does that even mean? Like, no one has it all figured out. However, in your 20s, you are being responsible for more. You're being held accountable for more. For a lot of people, you are experiencing things about adulthood for the first time. So there does become this element of having something figured out, right, along the way. So I want to share some lessons in case this inspires you along your journey or you're experiencing the same things. And I want to focus on self, career, relationships, and money, because when I think about my 20s, I think that those elements stand out most. Let's get into it. Number one, I learned that you're going to have to gentle parent yourself. There are things along your journey that you're going to have to learn, unlearn, and just accept with kindness towards yourself, because sometimes it sucks to have to unlearn something. I think it's common for a lot of young people to have a strict view of the world or strict way in which we go about doing things, because we think that's the way I was taught, that's how I've always been doing it, this is how I function in this area. And then you meet people in life or you have experiences and it's like, I could have been doing this differently the whole time, or I never thought about it like that. So an example of this is productivity, right? If you're someone who grew up thinking, okay, when I wake up, I got to do this, and this, and then I have to have something else to do, and then I have to do all these things before I go to bed, it can feel shocking to realize, oh, rest is my birthright. I can rest, and that is productive. And it can be shocking to even figure out, what does rest mean to me? How do I do that? Number two, don't say, could never be me. Don't say that. Don't say that. I think this is low key and often unintentionally asking the universe to test you. And you don't want to ask the universe to test you. It's going to send you lessons already. Don't call that in. And this phrase is really rooted in a lot of judgment anyway, and you just don't want that kind of karma. Number three, I learned that you need some go-to recipes in your arsenal, okay? You need some recipes that you are skilled in and confident in. And I know it's really fun and convenient to order in often, but there might come a time where you are snowed in, or quarantine, or sick, or you don't have as much money for takeout, and you need to make use of what's in the house. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to love cooking, but you need to have a couple of things to go to that you feel really skilled in making, and that you like the taste in. This is very important. Like, we should be cooking food that we love to eat. Number four, I learned that you can be who you want to be at any time. Whenever you want to, you can rewrite the narrative about the person you are. Part of this is speaking life into the narrative that you are developing. So if you're someone who you never really felt creative, and a lot of people knew you as that, and you would talk about yourself like that too, like, oh, I'm not really a creative person, like, you have to stop talking that way, and you have to speak life and flip that statement and start speaking life into this new person you're trying to be. If you're that friend that's always late and you don't like it and you want to be that on-time friend, you can work on becoming that on-time friend. Like, you can change that narrative for yourself. A tough part of this is other people will likely remember you how they met you, and they'll be holding on to an old narrative of you, but you can't worry about that. The people who are meant to be on your journey with you will hold space for your evolution. They will understand that you're working to become a new person, and they'll speak life into that with you. Number five, don't do what you don't want to do. My mentor once said this to me, that doing what you don't want to do always comes at a cost. And often it's a cost of your peace of mind. And when I think about this, I think about how growing up, I was often places where I didn't want to be. right? Because as a kid, I don't have the agency or the means to just get up and leave. But now as an adult, it's like, oh, I can leave whenever I want to. If I don't want to be here or I don't want to do this, I can leave. I can leave this party. I can leave this event. I can leave this job. Like, I don't have to endure things that don't feel good to me. When it comes to career, this one was a little hard for me to accept, but I think deep down I always knew this, that discipline and consistency will take you farther than talent will. There are people out there right now who have what you want or what you think you should have simply because they show up often. So the sooner you work on your discipline and work on showing up for yourself for the results that you want, the happier your future self will be. Number 7, don't tie your identity to the place where you work. And this is so easy to do, especially in your early 20s, and especially if you came from a college environment or a program or a time in your life where what your career aspirations were for getting started were so closely associated with you, within yourself and by other people, right? And what I mean by this is, let's say you were a student who studied journalism like I did. And so everyone around you and yourself at that time when you're trying to get a job is like, oh, did you find a job? Oh, did you find a job? Oh, where are you working now? Where are you working now? And you just become known as that girl who works at such and such place when really you're more than that. And the reason why I think this is harmful is because in your 20s, you might change jobs a lot. Okay, you might change jobs a lot, and your identity, you don't want it tied to the place where you work because you're gonna be working in different places, okay? So what I encourage you to do instead is to identify with the skills that you have or the things you just like to do. So when someone asks about you, just say, oh, I'm a writer, which is true for me, right? I'm a writer. I don't lead with where I work because no matter where I work, I'm going to be a writer. Number 8 is to use that job for every perk it can give you. So if they've got free food in the building, stash it in your purse. If they've got free therapy, sign up. If they've got health insurance, girl, get your eyes checked, okay? Because you are trading your time for money, but also other benefits that you need to be using. Okay, so number 9, if you're someone who struggles with finding your passion, or you feel like you had a passion and you don't have it anymore, or you're wondering, how come I never had a passion and it feels like everyone else has a passion, forget about passion and instead follow your curiosity. Think about, in the next couple of years, what's something that you want to try out next and put your energy toward that. Because I think being so worried about passion has a lot of people end up feeling lost and hopeless about their career aspirations, or they feel like their sense of self is so tied to their career aspirations, like what we talked about earlier. I encourage you to let that go and just think about what sounds interesting and follow that. Number 10, my last career lesson that I learned that I'll share is to work towards something rather than trying to get away from something. There might be a time in your career journey where you are at a place where you do not want to be, where you want to quit, and not just quit, but escape. And that desperation to leave can have you make some not fully thought out decisions, some rash decisions. You don't want to just run to the next place or the next opportunity because you're trying to get away from something. Really think about what you want out of your next step in your journey and work toward that, not just, oh, I gotta get out of here. Okay, with number 11, and this might be an unpopular opinion, and that's fine. But I learned that if you have, good, loving parents, it is true that they want the best for you. However, that does not mean that they know what is best for you. And what I mean by that is I've seen a lot of young people hold their parents' opinions so closely to where it leads that young person astray, because what their parent is saying to do is not aligned with what that young person should be doing in their life. And a lot of this could be because, the parents might not understand firsthand the way society is moving now, or the way a certain job industry works, or sadly, the parents might just be speaking fear into that child's vision. And so that young person might be unsure about if they should make that next move or take that risk of betting on themselves in a certain way. Number 12, when it comes to love, if you're getting mixed signals, it's a no. If you have to ask, what are we? You ain't nothing. If it feels hot and cold, it's cold, okay? Don't try to figure it out. Move on, okay? Move on, because we have stuff to do in this life, and that's just gonna get in the way. Number 13, your energy and your money is going to go toward your priorities and your values. And this is true for your friends. And it can feel weird if you're very close to your friends at a time where you were all in a similar life stage, and then you get older and people are going off on different life stages. And so their energy is toward their new focus area. So you might have a friend who can't make that trip because they've been saving for a house. Or you might have a friend who cannot just randomly hang out like she used to because now she's got kids. None of this means that your friendships can't last. It just means the dynamics are going to change. And because of this, number 14, don't be surprised if what you consider your close friend group looks a lot different by the time you reach 30. Number 15, and this is for all people, you've got to work on recognizing green flags and red flags in people. There are people who are not going to be a good friend to you. They are not going to be a good partner to you, and they are showing you that. And you are sometimes looking right over it, not knowing how to recognize it. You are not seeing the signs. And through hindsight and sometimes some tough lessons, you're going to realize what those red flags were. But also it's important to understand what the green flags are, because in a world where we're talking about toxicity so much, there are really nice, kind, genuine people who truly mean well. And it's important to learn how to discern when someone's being genuine. And a lot of that has to do with listening to yourself, trusting yourself, connecting with your intuition and your gut feelings, and knowing the vibe of a situation. Number 16 is to start a budget and keep track of it, because your 20s is a time where you're probably spending a lot of money, you're coming into contact with big financial decisions or a desire to buy certain things. You need a budget. And what that budget looks like is going to look different for every person, because personal finance is personal, but this is a great time in life to take control of your finances, own your finances, and understand your finances so intimately. And it's also a great time to start to learn how to make your money work for you as soon as possible. I accumulated most of my debt in my 20s, and I also paid it all off in my 20s as well. That's a whole different story, but a budget really helped me do that. Like this video and comment down below if you want to hear more about that. Number 17, don't pocket watch. If you spend any time on social media, TikTok, Twitter, there is somebody always watching somebody else's pockets, and you really shouldn't do that. Somebody's salary is not an indicator of how much they can or can't afford, because really, we don't know their business like that. We don't know how much debt they have. We don't know what their bills look like. We don't know their situation. So it's best to just not pocket watch, mind the business that pays you, and stay focused on your own dollars. Number 18, I learned to not let lifestyle creep keep me broke. And what I mean by that is, as we get different jobs or come into more money along our journey and we get older, you know, it's nice to have cute purses. It's nice to get your hair done. It's nice to get your nails done. I mean, it's fun. However, none of these things should come at a cost of your lights being on, food in the pantry, gas in your car, things like that. I personally think it's okay to spend money on making yourself look nice and feel good, but your emergency fund better be taken care of too. Number 19, I had to learn how to avoid mindless consumerism. I really struggled with this, especially in my early 20s, because it's just so easy to just want stuff, just to want it. I want this because it looks cute. I want this because just whatever old reason, and not really realizing or thinking about, you know, what's the cost per wear? What kind of value do I really get out of this object or this tool, whatever it is? There's probably so many things that I bought over the years that had a one-time use, or I used just a few times and it really didn't add much value to my life. Going through my debt-free journey really helped me with this, really helped me think about my consumerism and buying things that truly bring me joy and have a need and a want in my life. And number 20, my last lesson is to not be afraid of money. Don't be afraid to check your account. Don't be afraid to spend money. Don't be afraid to save money. You just have to be intentional about all of your energy when it comes to money, but you can't be scared of money. I found that it's so beneficial to approach this aspect of life with confidence, with gratitude, with faith and abundance. Even if you're in a season of life where it's kind of a struggle, it's still so important to not be scared of money, because there's so much money in the world. It's going to make its way to you. Your needs are going to be taken care of. I've always had faith in that, and I think that really helped me a lot throughout my 20s. So yeah, you guys, those are a lot of the lessons that I learned in my 20s. I'm really curious to know what kind of things you've learned in your 20s, or if you're still in that decade of life, what lessons are you learning along your journey? I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.